Shabbos, Brian.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
So I was trying to get in. Oh, Howard, how are you doing? See you in the background. Shabbos, Brian.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
I'm hearing myself twice. So I was trying to. Chaim, good Shabbos. Nick, good Shabbos. Sue, good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
We are blessed with two Sue Morgans.
Good Shabbos.
Double act. Good Shabbos. Oh, Richard, good Shabbos.
Shabbos to you, Rabbi. How are you?
It's good to see you behind the screen too, not just in person, but.
There is hope.
Okay. What portion are you reading next week, Richard? The Levi?
Yes.
I wonder why.
Oh, no, sorry, no, because I'm doing Rishon because Cohen.
Rishon, okay.
So that I can do the same one on Shabbat, and I can do it on Monday and Thursday. First. I would have done later.
Okay, gonna start in 2 minutes. Howard, every time I see you with that thing, I think that, like a pilot, you have that control thing.
I can only hear.
Yeah, very good. Oh, Caroline, how you doing?
Practicing his DJ skills.
His DJ. Very good.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos. He managed to get in time.
Shabbos.
Yeah, managed to get there, thank you.
Yeah.
How's all the family?
Oh Hashem, very good.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
Yehudit's mom is going back on Sunday, so they had to do the test, and 72 hours. So we took her to the special test, but Zat Hashem, everything should go good.
Good.
Ingrid, good Shabbos, Ingrid.
Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Okay. We'll start in 1 minute, and we will move forward.
Can you see me, Rabbi?
I can't see you, but I can hear you. How?
I can see.
I send you a request to ask to start video. Do you see it?
Okay. Start video, yeah.
Very good. We saw you for a second. I'll try that again. See it? Okay, let's start. Yes, we see you. If you can just put the camera a little bit down, and then we will start. Please, if you may stand up, we're going to say special memorial prayer. If you don't see the name or I forget someone, please let me know. אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים אלוה סליחות חנומך ומכפיים ואף חסד חמצך פרת פשע והקרבת ישר נוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה מעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר כי המזהירים את נשמות מנחם מנדל בן אהרון דוד, father of Richard Green, Miriam בת פייבל, mother of Jonathan Marks, יעקב בן שמעון יחזקאל, father of Susan Morgan, רבקה בת ניסן הלוי, mother of Rosa Rivlin, יעקב בן נחום חיים הלוי, father of Richard Chesterpole, לאה בת מותקה, mother of Russell Field, Devorah bat David, the mother of Stanley Lyons. Shlomo ben David Ephraim, the brother of Maurice Hope. Ephraim ben Nachum, husband of Joan Lozowik. Chaim Abraham ben Meir, the father of Ingrid Seagal. Tzvi ben Yaakov, the father of Nick Jones. Gitta Leah bat Mendel, the mother of Jeremy Livingston. Chaya Broinia bat Shaul, the daughter of David and Tamela Watchdale. Shalchuhu לעולמם. אנא ברחמים זכרם לטובה כל זכויותיהם וצדקותיהם ארצות החיים. הובטח להם שערי צדק גבורה שערי חמלה וחנינה בסתר כנפיך תסתירו לעולמים וצור ויצור חיים ונשמותם אדוני יונח עלתם ינוח בשלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן. If anyone would like to say Kaddish in English or to practice it in Hebrew, please say so. If there is no one, then I will say it in English.
I would like to say it in Hebrew.
Please be the messenger for all others that have Yortzeit this week.
Yizkidah v'yizkidah shemei Rabbo, Yom Divrachir say V'amnich Machasei V'chayachem V'yamechem V'chaydi Kol Beis Yisrael Ba'agol V'zman Korivim Remain Yehei Shemei Rabban Varach L'Olam Mamai Mayor Yisberach V'yistabach V'yispoar V'yistamam V'yisasei V'yisadav V'yisalev V'yisalav Shemei D'Kedusho B'richu Leila Mika B'chosa V'shirosa Tishbechosa Nechamosa Demiram Amaye Yisrael Min Shemai V'chayim Aleim Yalko Yisrael Memayin Ose Shalom B'Mamav Hu Yasa Shalom Aleim Yalko Yisrael Memayin
Ose shalom imomam, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Please sit down.
Wish you all long life.
Chut yamim, long life.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us those the Kadditions. Thank you for being with us here today to remember those that passed away, those of your yahrzeit this week, especially before Shabbat. Shabbat is a time of family, is a time where we think about the family, is a time where we gather together. It's basically the most important day of the week in order to focus on family. And it's not only when we're alive, but also when they pass away, we truly remember them in saying Kaddish and saying a special blessing, and also thoughts and stories about them. So this Shabbat, please share with your family or some stories about your loved one, and may it be Lilu Nishmatam. May the neshama go higher, high in heaven. Amen. I believe we have a speaker today. Yes, if you can please, is it Sue, if I'm correct? Yes, I'm going to put you on spotlight.
Oh.
And I mean, just between us, please. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my father, Jack Flatto, who was born in 1926 in Purley, near Croydon in South London. My father died 8 years ago now. At that time, the Flattos were the only Jewish family in that area. However, as a few more people came along, they were founder members of Croydon Shul, which is kind of a bit like us. We were, I think, probably founder members as well of Northwood Synagogue some years ago. Dad spoke only Yiddish at home and was brought up strictly to be a good and observant Jew. He was the only child of Simon Flatto and Sally Mayer, but he had 5 half-brothers and sisters who were all virtually old enough to be his parents. But his father died when he was 16, and his mother was not in good health for much of her life, so Dad had responsibilities of care for her from a young age. And then Dad met my mother, who was from Stamford Hill, which obviously is quite a long way away from Croydon. And they met at a West End dance. And Dad drove over to pick my mum up for the first date. And she always talked about this because it was a pea soup of fog. Do you know what a pea soup of fog was, Rabbi?
No, I don't.
In those days, they used to have terrible, very, very bad fog because of pollution over London. And they made
I think Alan told
because it was like a pea soup, and you couldn't see where you were going. And so for him to drive over from South London to pick my mum up for a first date was quite an incredible thing. But it was a kind of example of how selfless my father was, because he had a really great character and he was always putting himself out for other people. And he was a great example to my sister and myself. The community in Croydon was small but vibrant, and Dad was at the centre of the shul and on the shul committee for many years. And he believed strongly in Yiddishkeit and helping sustain Jewish life. He was also very intelligent, but it was very sad that the war interrupted his education, as he would have gone to university for sure. However, he built a successful business with his partner Sid, S&J Products, manufacturing costume jewellery, and made a good living for that for many years. He was thoughtful and affectionate, had a quick wit, but only spoke when he had something worthwhile to say. He was a quiet man, and maybe he didn't really put himself out there and may have been overshadowed a bit by others in our family. But I'm very pleased to be able to remember and celebrate him for the man he was now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue,
Wish
for
you
sharing.
long life, Sue.
Thank you.
And just to mention, I didn't know about this, but I understood that this concept about masks was long before we had it today. In those days, you couldn't breathe because it was so thick of smoke. So they had to put, like Alan Moss was telling me, they put like a scarf when you used to go, not to breathe it. It was so filthy. So a big sacrifice to go out there. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And if anyone else wants to share a story, please do so. This is about recollections of thoughts and memories, and it's important not only for us to hear, but for you also to share them, for you to share it for us to hear. Yes, Ingrid?
I remember the very thick fogs.
Yes?
Distinctly, I remember as a child trying to get to school and walking into a lamppost and saying sorry. Funny how little things like that stick in your mind, and it's brought a smile to my face this evening, reminding me, Sue, of the thick fog. You literally couldn't see your own hand in front of you. That's all.
Amazing.
Mum used to tell that story a lot. She used to always talk about it.
Wow. A different world. Okay, so maybe we can connect it to this parsha. This parsha, what's the name of this parsha? Anyone knows? Brian? Chaim? Re'eh, to see.
William's bar mitzvah.
William's bar mitzvah, to see. Oh, fantastic. See, I present before you today a blessing and a curse. Hashem says, open your eyes, just look. Yes, there's a lot of fog in front of you, but if you truly search, you will see what is the blessing, what is true blessing, and what is unfortunately a curse. You have to open your eyes to see it. Don't be blind. But I want to focus on I have this blue keeper today. My kids gave it to me. But anyway, I want to focus on chapter, chapter 13, verse 2. And I think it's a very powerful statement, especially for a rabbi like myself or someone that was educated in a hierarchy of authority, of rabbinic authority. I think it's very powerful. It says like this: if there should stand up in your midst a prophet or a dreamer of a dream, and he will produce to you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes about, or which he spoke to you, saying, let us follow gods of others that you do not know, and we shall worship them. Do not hearken to the words of the prophets or the dream of the dream, for Hashem your God is testing you to know whether you love Hashem your God with all your heart and your soul or not. Hashem your God shall you follow him, and shall you fear. His commandments shall you observe, and his voice you shall you hear taken. Okay, and continues on. Okay. What is this statement? This statement basically is that if there will be one in the history, in the future, someone that might come up, your rabbi, maybe some authority that you believe, your father, your mother, someone that you really trust. Bekir becha, it says, ki yakum bekir becha. It says, if it should stand up in your midst, someone close to you, someone that you know, someone that you trust, and suddenly he says to you to do something wrong, something the opposite of what is supposed to do, something against the Torah, against the Jewish values. What do? You're in a dilemma. Wait a second, do you listen or you don't listen? He's your rabbi, you got to listen. Or he's, your role model. And many times we have that. Children have that with their parents. They say something and it's not the right thing to do. We all believe we're perfect parents, that's of course. But sometimes we say something different. As an example, I have a good rabbi, I'm not going to mention his name, that he is against taking the vaccination. Now, you might most of the rabbis that I know are take the vaccination, but there's some over there that have that. What do you do? Of course, I'm all pro vaccination, but I'm saying, just to give you an example, many times there's someone that you trust and somebody gives you an opinion that, wait a second, that's not good. That's not a good opinion. And today it's, maybe less of a problem, but think about it in those days. That you used to go to the prophet, and the prophet used to say, listen, so and so, and used to listen to it, and that's it, and it was finished. But let's say this prophet suddenly went astray, and yes, he does miracles. He can turn the stick into a snake. He can do lots of great things. And then he says to you, you know what, today you don't need to keep Shabbos, or whatever it is, or let's eliminate. And that's, if one might say, that's what happened with Yoshke, that guy, if you know who I mean. He did miracles. He walked on the water, whatever he wanted, and that's okay. And then he said, listen, you don't need to keep this, you don't need to do that. And of course, everyone went against him, but he had followers. Wow, look, he's doing miracles. Comes Hashem and says, listen, in the end, it's not about miracles. It's not about showing, magic. That's not our religion. Our religion is not based on magic. It's not based on wonders. It's not even based on that Hashem split the sea. It's based on that we were under the next to the mountain of Mount Sinai, and we received the 10 commandments, allegiance to Hashem, and say we will do and we will follow, meaning, and then we will listen. The first and most important thing is we only listen to Hashem. Anyone that claims that he's talking in the name of Hashem and is changing the words of Hashem, we don't follow. And look, for thousands of years, if you look at the history, there were many, and I think I had a shir on it once, I don't know if you were in it, many of false messiahs and false believers and prophets that suddenly wanted to change. And in the end, of course, we saw it was only for their own greed and desires and power and so on. But many were, that tried to change us. But in the end, we stuck and we stick to Hashem, and we never changed our ways. And that's made us who we are today, a nation that no matter what comes in front of us, we always align with Hashem. We will never go against him, even though the person you most trust says to you other words. And I think for me, it's a very powerful statement. And in some terms, it also gives you the space for common sense, for a place to educate yourself in learning the Torah and learning the ways of Hashem. When you think something is wrong, when you think something is problematic, you ask a question. You don't receive it as dogma. If you go to the yeshivot, you will see they will never receive anything as dogma. Everything is debatable. Everything is arguable. But in the end, of course, we have authority. We have this. We listen. The whole idea is to listen to others, and there is rules. But don't take anything for as it is. It's a paradox concept. I know. Because in the end, we have authority. We don't have authority. But that space to show us that even though they do prophets and they do miracles and they do that, we don't care. I think it's very powerful. And this is again sticks to what we started this verse in. Look, I give you, what does it say? I present before you today the blessing and a curse. Today, whenever it says today in the Torah, the rabbis explain, it talks about every single day for infinity. That means every single day we have that challenge. Every single day we wake up in the morning, we have a choice. What kind of glasses am I going to use? I'm going to use the blessing glasses or the curse glasses. I'm going to look for the truth, or I'm going to go with the flow. So Bezat Hashem, may you all have wisdom in your eyes. Open your eyes, see the truth. See the goodness, see only blessings around you, because if you really see what is around you, you will not stop blessing, non-stop. And I have to say, I'm not going to say the name, but I was very impressed yesterday. Last week I talked to someone from the community in Shabbos, and I was so impressed that he was talking only positive, only blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. Yes, he can complain, like we all like to kvetch. But he was always talking about blessing, how much he's blessed, and he's blessed, and I was inspired by that person. So I hope you will spread this idea to your friends, to your family on this beautiful night of Shabbat, Parashat Re'eh. May Hashem open your eyes, and may you always be blessed as you truly are. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're now going to thank you. We're now going straight forward to the evening service of Kabbalat Shabbat.
Do that, Rabbi. Can I just mention one thing?
Yes, please do. I'm going to find
I'd like to, on behalf of the synagogue, wish a mazel tov to Aviva Wilford. Her son got married last night, and any of you who watched, it was really lovely to be able to join them on screen and watch the wedding. So mazel tov to the family, and also to Jane and Martin Rome, who've had the birth of their first grandson. Mazel tov to them. I just wanted to mention it because there's such.
They are stuck in the Bahamas and couldn't get there.
No, I know, but there's
So maybe for the bris, Barbados.
members of the community, so I thought it'd be nice for us to think of them.
I would like also to get stuck in Barbados. I don't mind that. It's not a bad place to get stuck into. Yeah, but
They're on their way. They're on their way.
Yes, they'll get there. Please God. They had to wait 2 weeks.
And also wish you, hope that you all have a great holiday.
Thank you. Thank you. Talking to me, yes? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's do it. Let's channel our souls to sing. And as we greet the Shabbat, greet the holy day of Shabbat, let's sing together Yedid Nefesh. Di Nefesh Avarach Aman Meshor Chavecha El Ratzon Yarotz Avdecha Kemo No, is this the song that we use, or is it the Shlishit tune? Where's Brian? He's not around.
Yes, this is right. You did Nefesh.
That's the Yedid Nefesh. I don't know. I was mixed up for a minute. Yeah,
I'm trouble with my picture here. It's keeps going on and off. So
לכו נרנן על אדוני, נרגיע לצרישנו. ארבעים שנה כות בדור, ואומר עמתו אל לבבם, והם לא ידעו דרכי. אשר נשמעתי בימים ובואו למנוחתי. Everyone together. שירו לאדוני, שיהיה חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני, ברוך שמו בשום אל יום ישובתו. זבו בגויים כיבודו, לעמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני, ובעול מאוד. הנה וואו על כל אלוהים היי, כל הימים הבלילים אדוני שמיים עשה. עוד וידע ליפניו אז בדברת במקדשו. ובעול אדוני משפחות דמים, ובעול אדוני כבוד ועוז. הבעול אדוני כבוד שמו, זהו מנחה ובעול לחרצותיו. השתחוו לאדוני הדרה קודש מינו לבניו כל הארץ. שימו בגויים אלוהים עליו נפגום על דבר ומלדים ידין עמים ומשרים שמחו בשמיים ותגל במועד. יבם ויבם לבוא, יבום לבוא ויי, יאללה סדי ולבם לשבום. אז ירננו כל הציור לפני אדוני, כי יבמה לשמות הארץ, ישמדי וצדק, יאמין באמונתו. Nine 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 malach. Oh, Avei Adonai, Sinura, Shomer nafshot chasidav, miad hashayim yatzilem. Oh, zaru ala tzadik, uleishalev simcha. שמחו צדיקים אדוני והדור לזר קודשו מזמור של אדוני שיר חדש. ים הימולות וביושבי הנהרות ימרחו כף יד הנרים ענינו לפני אדוני גבעה לשמות הארץ. ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים משרים אדוני מלך. ידבר על רעיה, שמעו עדותיו, חוק נתן לעמו, אדוני אלוהינו, אתה ניתם. לנושא היית להם, אלוהים אלוהים צבאו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, וישתחו להר קודשו, כי קדוש, אדוני אלוהינו, מזמור לדוד בלי סטנדאפ, עבורו לאדוני ונבלים, עבורו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, עבורו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, ולאדוני על המים, אל הכבוד ירים אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שומע ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי לבנון, ויגדל כמו עגל לבנון, וציון כמו בן רעמים. כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכולל לילות, ויחסו יערות, ומחלו כולו מרכבות. אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני המלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אנא בכוח, גדולת ימינך תצרו רע, קבל רינת עמך, שגבנו, תארנו נורא, נא גיבור דורשי יחודך גבורת שומם, לכם תהרם רחמי צדקתך, תמיד גומלם, חסין קדוש, ברוב תומך, נעל עדתך, יחיד גהל עמך פנה, זוכר קדושתך, שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו, והתעלומות ברוך שם, כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמעו וזכו בדיבורך, השמיענו למיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, נשמות ורד ולתהילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לרוחו ונלכה, היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף ממש עכשיו בתחילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך מלוכה, קום מצא מתוך ההפכה, אבל שבט וימי קמחה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. יתנערי מיפה קומי, לישי בגדי תפארת רמי, יעל יד בני שי בדלך מי, כובע נפשי גאלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ואמר פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תתקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, המה יחסו אני ימי, ונמנתה עיר אל תילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיולים שיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, אסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כבשת חתנה כלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימינו שמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואים בשלום ומטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה אומרים נצולה, תורם מוני עשה גולה, בואי חלה בואי חלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Hazak ubaruch. So, thank you so much for staying with us today on our shir and our Kabbalat Shabbat. But I still don't want to let you go because I have a question to ask you, a debate. And maybe we have another 10 minutes to discuss it. I would like to hear your opinion. This debate, I've been hearing it on and on again on LBC and all those radios that I hear every day. The question is, can we force someone to take the vaccination, or should we let them be? And I'll give a little bit of a twist about a religious twist to it, but I think it's appropriate to this parsha. Just open your eyes. I'm giving you a blessing and a curse. And there are some people, I'll just be the devil advocates for it, but there are some people that are afraid to take maybe the first vaccination, maybe you'll say can be compulsory. But what about the second one? Some people don't want to take them. What about the third one? And there be a booster. Can you force it on someone? Should we force it? What about the freedom of free choice? The civil rights for an individual? Now, there's many sides to the coin. Of course, I have to be straightforward with my view is, of course, we have to even force it on people. I'm not saying that medically, if it's wrong, if it's hurts that person. But on the other side to it, maybe we shouldn't force it. Maybe if we remind ourselves, when we're taking the vaccination, we're protecting ourselves. But if they want to kill themselves or whatever, do whatever they want, maybe it should be their choice. Now, I just want to hear your view, your point of view, and we'll start with Nick. What do you say? Would you force your employees to take the vaccination? If not, they can go, and they can get you will kick them out, and they'll lose their job. and they have to, they'll have to take the vaccination in order to work, or you can give it, it's their choice. What would you say, Nick?
I would say I would definitely tell them to take the vaccine, no question at all.
And if not, they will lose their job.
Yes, I would, because I think they are being, with the information we have and available to us, they are being unfair to other people who they might infect, who they shouldn't. It's about other people. It's about caring for other people, not about yourself, in my opinion.
Even though they're afraid for many reasons that they have.
Unfortunately, a lot of the reasons are unproven. I mean, obviously, we are taking something that we don't know what side effects there may be in years to come, and they have promoted drugs in the past that have caused problems to people in the future. But from what we know already, we have a duty to protect other people.
And on the last point, would you force the third jab, a booster, on them too?
If it was medically, if it was a sound reason for doing it, yes, I would. I don't see any reason.
The guy said, "I took 2, it's enough. Now don't bring me 3. It's too much. I don't want." Are you going to kick him out of your I don't know what the company that he doesn't want to take the third one?
Yes, I would. I would.
Okay, very clear.
Rabbi.
Yes.
I don't like to interrupt, but I believe Howard Handler is down for a davar this evening.
Oh yes, really? I apologize. Thank you, Brian. Howard, are you giving a davar now? I can't hear you. If that, I take back my debate, and we'll have it a different time. Although it's Chaim, I can't hear you.
Otherwise, you can carry on with your debate.
Yeah, let me 1 second. Ask them. Thank you, Brian.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you down for the davar now? Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed the date for today. I was planning at a later date.
That's okay.
But I can give you my opinion if you want to hear.
Yes, you're the next. Please share your opinion. Thank you, Brian.
About forcing people to do something that affects their own body. It's okay, in my opinion, to do that to children, like Brit Milah, something which is agreed in the community that it should be done. But to force something on an adult who should have the choice, I think we should be able to segregate or not allow that person to endanger others by this passport method to go into crowded places, for instance.
So if you had a company and the guy is not vaccinated, would you kick him out of the company? Yes or no?
No, you can't take away his work and his livelihood.
But he's endangering others.
No, but you don't have to let him in danger. You can keep him at work, but not let him mix with the wider community.
Okay. You're saying a scenario, you can work at home, but let's say if it's impossible that he has to interact with people, would you have this choice, either vaccinate or whatever you have to do? What would you choose? Where would you do it? And what about the third vaccination? I believe you, of course, you would say the third one. But I mean, what would you say? Sorry, if you will interact with people, you would agree?
I don't believe you should force anyone to take medical intervention of any kind.
Yeah, but he's endangering other people. People might die because of him.
No, not if the people stay safe. If you keep distance and you don't allow that person to endanger others, it doesn't mean you have to give the vaccination to do that. You can do this by other means.
Yeah, but it sounds like a paradox because eventually, if you're letting him interact, then he'll interact.
No. I didn't say interact. I said you've got to keep safe without forcing to have the vaccine.
Okay, so you mean finding a solution that you'll keep in a job, but he's not going to interact. Okay. If there is a solution, then maybe yeah. Ingrid, yes.
Hey. I'm listening to everybody. Of course, we all should have freedom of choice. I believe absolutely 100% in equality and everybody having the same rights and the same things. But I have a right to protect myself. It means that vulnerable people have to be imprisoned. in their own homes because they're scared to go out, even today when they have relaxed and they say it's okay. I don't feel okay about going out to theatres and things like that when I know that people haven't been vaccinated. Actually, some of the theatres now are asking you to prove that you've been vaccinated. And I don't know why in this country we have such a problem to have a passport to say that we've had a vaccination. It's like people don't want identity cards. If you're, what's the problem with it? It makes it safer for me. It makes it safer for other people. And why should other people be condemned to staying in prisoners in their own home, and also the opportunity perhaps of catching a disease? How did they eradicate smallpox and all the other diseases? The only way they did it was by having everybody vaccinated.
I understand.
So what's happened with the measles jab? Some parents didn't have it for their children, and it's caused quite a lot of problems.
Of course. But I'm asking, what about the third jab? I understand that, very clear. What about the third jab?
If you have jab 1, 2, I don't know what difference it makes in having the third one.
No, but would you force, again, it's not about difference, but the guy says, I took 2, I don't want to have a third one. Are you going to force him, yes or no?
You can't force a person. You can't sit them down and tie them up and make them have it. But you have to make people understand why. Why do you think it's happening amongst all the youngsters? Because they're going and dancing and clubbing and they don't want to have the jab.
Okay. Brian, what do you say?
They're going to get rid of it.
I agree with you. Brian, what do you say?
What do I say? That you can't impose, in a democracy like ours, the government cannot impose it on anybody. However, as Nick mentioned, if you're an employee, your company can lay down its own protocols. So you lay down the law to people and you say, I'm sorry, if you're going to work here and you're going to mingle with your co-workers, you'll have to be vaccinated. And I also agree with this passport. You don't want it, fine, but you can't go to the theatre where I'm going, and you can't go to the cinema where I'm going. And
I hear your case, but as I heard on the radio, he asked this guy, okay, very nice, but what would you say a guy already works by you? Okay, it's not like, you have a policy, to accept or not to accept. We said, listen. But if the guy already works, it was a big construction company.
Yeah.
What would you do? Would you kick him out? Would he lose your job because of that?
He might be my CEO. I'd sit him down. If he didn't see sense, I'd say, for the sake of all the other people here, your colleagues, I'm going to have to let you go.
So I'm afraid to take these vaccinations. Were you going to kick him out because of that?
And I'd like to see what the tribunal says, whether he's been dismissed unfairly or not.
That's a big question. That's exactly what's
I think you'll find that it comes down to endangering the health of others.
Yeah.
Which is a basic principle of employers, that if somebody is endangering the health of other people now within your company, you will have full rights to dismiss them.
Yeah. Richard, do you want to add anything, by the way? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I agree entirely with what Brian and Nick have just said. I'm just thinking of my own situation. In my office, we normally have 9 people in a room. And fortunately, everybody has had the vaccine. But if one of them hadn't, it's a little bit different. We're not actually manufacturing or anything like that. People can work from home with Teams, with Zoom or whatever. But if you're making a product and you're part of a team, and that's not going to work when people can pick and choose whether they come or they don't come, I think as an employer, you have the right to insist they come. And if they can't come or don't want to come of their own choice, they're not playing the game. And
but we have to remember, the guy or woman or whatever is behind this, they have serious doubts about it. I remember my mother before, now it's very common, but in the beginning, she was terrified to take the vaccination. She heard all these conspiracies and she was like, she didn't want to take until we talked to her, and everything. And Baruch Hashem, today she's after the second vaccination, hopefully get the third. But there are some people that in a big situation that, they feel is and there's lots of people out there like that.
Can I bring something up, Rabbi? Because in the beginning, a lot of care workers were refusing to have vaccinations who were looking after elderly people, vulnerable people in care homes.
Yeah.
Now the law's been changed, I believe, Jenny will correct me if I'm incorrect, that if you want to work in a care home, you have to
yeah.
that you've had a vaccination. And also, what about when I go into the shops? Why should somebody serve me who
But in the end, like Chaim was saying, okay, so you can't go to the shops, you can't go to this, you got. In the end, the guy that doesn't want to take a vaccine, he's been in prison in his house and he cannot move and he cannot do anything he wants. You know, you're basically putting this guy in a social prison and the guy doesn't have any freedom. So you're really taking out his freedom. Now, I don't care about freedom, but those that care about freedom, I mean, I care about life versus freedom. That's what I mean. Jenny, do you want to add anything to the pot?
what Jenny has to say?
Yeah.
I don't know whether, I know they were discussing whether healthcare workers and social care workers should be obliged to have the vaccine. You've got to remember that the vaccine's not 100% effective. It's extremely effective at making it unlikely you'd die, and it's pretty effective at reducing your risk of being admitted to hospital. But it may not stop you catching it, and it may not stop you spreading it. I don't have enough information about that. I don't know whether others do, because it's not my infectious diseases. It's not my area.
Would you force the third jab on someone?
Well, I wouldn't force it. You can't force anybody to have a jab. That would be assault. You could be.
I mean, socially.
But you certainly can. I mean, it's been compulsory for doctors for I don't know how many decades to show immunity to hepatitis B. And if you aren't vaccinated, if you aren't immune, then there are certain types of work you can't do as a doctor.
Quite right.
And so there is certainly a precedent of having it as a requirement, provided you then have an alternative. The problem with social care is they are terribly paid, and there's huge, can you have a huge, small? I don't know. Anyway, there's dramatically fewer people working in social care than are needed. So if you then tell half of those people, or even a tenth of those people, that they can't work there anymore, then you've got even more of a problem than social care has at the moment. You could, as I think many places doing, you can require people to do lateral flow tests and doing them properly 2 or 3 times a week.
Solution too.
And that's another way of doing it. And at the time when vaccine passports were first being suggested, it would have been very unfair, because at that point only a portion of the population had been able to get vaccinated. So penalizing people for not having something that they weren't allowed to have was unfair. Now that everybody over 18, and that hopefully they'll introduce the 16 and 17s as well, can have it, that makes it not as unfair.
Okay.
Yeah. Years ago, they used to have vaccination. You had to have it in your passport, didn't you? If you'd been vaccinated, oh yeah, you had to have a visa saying that you were vaccinated.
To go to other countries. Yeah.
For certain other countries, you had to have yellow fever, or there things that are recommended, and there are certain countries that required you to be immunized against certain things.
So do you want to add something to what we just said? You're on mute.
I think it's very difficult because, as you say, there are different sides to it. I think if you can,
Could I give you an example just to spice it up? Would you force a kid under 13 or under 18, whatever, not to come to school because he's not vaccinated? Let's say it will come into the point where they will start vaccinating kids, and now this kid's mother doesn't want to vaccinate his kid. Would you allow him into school? It happened, I think, with measles in America. I remember not coming in. They didn't want to vaccinate them and so on. Would you let them go to school? Something, a civil right to come. Yeah, I see Jenny is awake.
In the USA, for a long, long time, it's been mandatory to be immunized against all the
Your internet connection is not so strong.
before you go to
Okay,
If
I
you
think
can turn it round the other way and say you cannot, people who are not immunized cannot do certain things, it's their choice whether they take the vaccine or not. But if they don't take the vaccine, then there are consequences. You can't do this and you can't do that.
But
So it's not forcing people, it's turning it around the other way.
okay, that's a PR way to look at it. But I'm saying, I mean, I get what you're saying, but in the end, sorry, Jenny.
the wording and the phrasing is really, really important.
Okay, I agree with that.
Rabbi, you can't force an adult to do anything. Okay, it's not allowed. It's against the law. Sue Morgan has framed this exactly correctly. Okay, you can't force anybody to have the vaccine, but what you can do is you can say to them, if you haven't had it, there are certain things you can't do, and that may be go to school, go to university, go to the theatre, or whatever, or go to shul. So you can't force people to do it. That's framing the argument the wrong way. The correct way to frame it is about what you can and can't do if you've had it.
Yeah. So in time, you know, you will be able to make a choice of whether you go to put your child in that school or whether you go to that synagogue or whatever, if their policy is you have to be vaccinated. At the moment, it's difficult because you've got, you know, we're only starting out now. But I don't know what you do about social care. That's a real problem.
Anyway, I will end over here, and we can talk about it for hours. But I think it's one of an example that I want to connect it to the parsha, but it's not just the parsha. It's about life. It's opening your eyes to see blessing and curse, and not everything is so visible. Not everything is so clear. Many or most of the things in life are in the gray zone, and it's up to us to look inside the Torah, look inside ourselves to get the wisdom of things, to get the sense, the common sense that we're so lacking of today, the common sense from many, many areas, to use it and to go forward with it and not to be afraid, and that we should choose the right decision, the blessing and not the curse. Chazaku Baruch and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
And to whom it may concern, I wish you long life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wish everybody long life who is also
Me too.